All right, hello class. Just wanted to jump on here to go over one of your assignments for week 5. So within week 5, you're going to have your, let's see, here it is, your pacer and your target heart rate assignment. So when you click on that, you'll see the instructions right here and the introduction. So this is not an assignment that where you download the file and then fill it out. What you'll need to do is copy and paste this entire introduction, this entire instructions. Just copy it and then paste it into either a Word document or whatever format you use. But when you submit the assignment, remember that the submitted assignment has to be in the format of either Microsoft Office Word or Adobe PDF. So if you're using Apple Pages or Notes or whatever else you use on your computers, the final product needs to be either Microsoft Office Word or Adobe PDF. That's the only formats that the GMC Moodle grading platform allows me to view. And so if I cannot view it, I cannot grade it. We are over halfway through. We should not be continuously having these problems. You should know by now, Microsoft Office or Adobe PDF. All right. So I have already just copied and pasted it into a Word document here. The first part of the assignment, we're going to be going over the pacer heart rate, the pacer test. This information is already on your Moodle, like the pacers or the pacer test. If you go under the first portion of where all your course material, you'll find a little information right here going over it. And then under the supplementary resources, I've added the manual for the pacer test just so you can see, have a little more insight of what it is, the instructions, the limitations, the benefits. And so that way you can be more equipped to answer these first two questions here. So once you reviewed the pacer test, then come back here and answer these two questions. All right, so and again, when you're answering these questions, I need to see a little more depth and critical thinking in your answers. So for example, this one, do you think the pacer test is accurate? Accurately assesses aerobic capacity? I need more than just a yes or no. I need more than just, yes, I believe because this, and then a one word or a one sentence explanation. Dive a little bit deeper. Show me that you have actually researched this, that you actually looked into the materials and you're able to pull from that your own opinion and your own your critical thinking. So go into this with a little more detail, a little more depth. Once you've done that, this second part, we are going to be determining your personal target heart rate range between 50 and 85%. Well, actually, I think 80 is what the equations actually do, but for some reason the instructions say 85, but regardless, we're going to see what your target heart rate range is. So this is a great starting method, a great starting point that we use within if you decide to become an exercise physiologist, this is a starting point that we use for our patients within cardiopulmonary rehab and cancer rehabilitations, or certain athlete populations as well. We'll start with this. Again, it's not the end all be all, especially everyone's different. Everyone has different abilities, different fitness levels, and then certain medications will affect the heart rate. But for the general public, just for the general starting point, this is where we start with. So this is very important that you at least know how to do this for yourself. So that way, in turn, you can carry this forward when you enter this field. So the first thing we have to do is measure your resting heart rate. Your resting heart rate, the instructions are listed right here. So you can either find that with on your carotid or your radial. Carotid is just on the side of your neck, right below your jaw. You'll feel that little pulse there. The radial is going to be on your wrist, right in line with the thumb. So right at the wrist here. So you'll just press down gently to find that pulse. So when you press, make sure you're using your first two fingers. Don't use your thumb. Your thumb has a stronger pulse than the rest of your fingers do. And so it can provide a little inaccuracy when you're trying to find an actual accurate heart rate. So use your first two fingers. Make sure you don't press down too hard because then you'll just occlude the blood flow. Then you won't be able to actually feel it or consistently feel the heart rate. And then don't press too lightly because then you won't be able to feel it at all. So find that little Goldilocks zone. So where you can feel it consistently. When you feel that, start your timer. You're going to be doing 3 timer counts for 15, 30, and 60 seconds. So heart rate is determined by beats per minute. So when you do a 15-second count, multiply it times 4, and that will show your heart rate beats per minute. Then when you do 30, multiply it times 2 to get the full minute, and then 60 just by 1. So so you'll do all 3 of these. So we'll say, for example, I got 68, 70. So you'll have some variability between the 2 or between the 3. But let's say, for example, these are for mine. So for a resting heart rate, typically it's going to be anywhere from 60 to 100. So if you are feeling this out and your resting heart rate is 120 or higher, I'm going to be concerned, like something wrong, something's going on. Your heart's beating way too fast and resting. Were you truly doing a resting heart rate? And then 2, I may think that you probably did a little inaccuracy, a little wrong. So make sure that this is a true resting. You're just sitting, relaxing. And 60 to 100 is normally a normal resting heart rate. If you're someone who is really physically fit for like endurance, and if you are a more endurance training type of person, then your resting heart rate may be lower than 60, completely fine. Yours may be in the 50s. That's cool too. Just make sure that you are counting it for the 15, 30, and 60, multiplying, and fill it out. Once you've done that, now we're going to determine what your specific heart rate max is. So you're going to use this equation. So I'm just going to copy and paste it. So I want to see your works because I am going to be double checking. So make sure that I can see your work so that way it's easier for me to double check. And again, because if you can't do it correctly for you, how are you going to be able to do it correctly in the future for any potential patients and clients? So we're just going to fill this out. So heart rate max is 206.9 minus times your age. So if you're 18, 20, 19, 25, 30, do your age. So I'm going to do 30 for me. Make sure, so when you do yours, unless you are 30, then you use 30 as well. But again, this is for you specifically, so use your current age. And then you fill it out. Oh, goodness. Okay. Heart rate max is 206.9. So remember basic math, whenever you're going through an equation, you always do what's in the parentheses first. So 0.67 times 30 is 20.1. And then keep working down, fill it out. So 206.9 minus 20, 206.9 minus 20.1 is 186.8 beats per minute. So again, your heart rate is always in the format of beats per minute, BPM. This is your heart rate max. If you can keep it in this initial like specific like 0.8 if you want to, or if you want to round up or down, you can. So I'm just going to round up to 187 to keep things simple going forward. So my specific heart rate max for my age is 187. All right, which is again right here. So 187. All right. Now we're going to go forward and try to figure out what your target heart rate range is for that, and the instructions here between that 50 and 85 or 80%. So for 50 to 80%, just for a little context, that is considered to be moderate activity. So not vigorous, not light. So moderate, I like to view it as if you're doing the activity and say you're doing it with a friend, you're still able to talk, like have a conversation, but very limited. So you're getting short of breath, you're having to focus on the activity. You can do words together, like yes, no, thank you, go away. I like this, let's do that. But you can't do full-on sentences. You can't have that full-on conversation because you are short of breath and you're having to reserve your energy and breath for the activity. but you can still talk. You haven't gotten to the point where you can't even spit out a word because that's vigorous. So we're in that little sweet spot, that soft point. That's what 50 to 80% is. So we're trying to figure out what heart rate does that equate to for you. So we're going to do the first half, the 50% in this next part. So we're going to just copy and paste and fill it out. So THR is just, so right here, THR is just target heart rate. So 0.5 times your heart rate max, we just determined that for me is going to be 187. So that's what I'm using. Heart rate max is 187 beats per minute. Mine is your resting heart rate. So your resting heart rate is what you determined right here at the first part. So we did 3 different variants, the 15, 30, and 60. It does not matter which one you use, but make sure whichever one you choose is the one that you use for the rest of this assignment. So for me personally, I'm just going to stick with the 60 seconds, so 72. So I'm going to say my resting heart rate was 67 or 72, sorry. Resting heart rate 72 beats per minute. Fill it out, resting heart rate again. All right, and now we keep going. So remember, what's in parentheses is what you do first. So 187 minus 72 is 150. Oh, whoops. Here we go. Is 115. Carry down, fill out the rest. And then you just go right to left. So 115 times 0.5 is 157.5. Carrying down what I didn't do. And now here is the final 157.5 plus your resting 129.5. So my 50%, I'm just going to round up. It's going to be 130 beats per minute. So I just personally going to round up just because in real life, I can't have a 129.5 heart rate. So if I'm trying to, my minimum heart rate for an activity is going to be 130. So now we're going to do the upper portion of that equation. So now we're doing 80%. So we're just going to copy and paste, work our way down. 0.8. So remember the heart rate max is what we determined for you, your heart rate max. This is just mine. So my heart rate max was 187. So I'm going to place that here, 187 minus the resting heart rate. So use the same resting heart rate that you used for the 50. So that way we can be consistent and accurate. So for me, that 72 was my 60 seconds. So that's what I'm using again. So 72. And then continue resting heart rate, 72. Target heart rate range. So now we're just going to fill it out. So remember what's in parentheses is what you do first. So 187 minus 72, 115. Carry down what you didn't do. And then just continues left to right. So 0.8 times 115 is 92 plus 72 is 164. That was a good even number. So my 80% target heart rate is 164 beats per minute. So for me, my goal for the particular exercise to reach a moderate activity is going to be between 130 and 164. That's going to be my heart rate, my target heart rate range. So now once you figure that out, you're going to go through these questions. The first one, you're just going to predict 2 separate activities that will put you into that target heart rate range or that target heart rate zone. So listen them here. So what do you think will get you into that range? Knowing what your fitness level is, what your resting heart rate is, what you determine. So for me, 130 to 164. So I may say that it is a light jog, maybe doing a like a minimal, like aerobic, like a video class, step aerobics class, something light or moderate. So again, what is So this is specific for you. So what is vigorous for some may be light for others and vice versa. So I want to figure out what's going to be good for you. Just list them here. And then you're going to actually perform that activity. So if, for example, if yours was like, I'm going to go for a light jog, so go for like a 15-minute jog. Figure out at the end of that activity, measure your heart rate again. So just the same way. So using your two fingers, either the carotid or the radial, either do your 15, 30, or 60-second count, but determine what your beats per minute is, like a 1 minute beats per minute. Figure out what your heart rate is at the end of that activity. And then see, did you get within your range? So I'm going to go for a light jog, and then I'm going to see, am I within 130 to 164? Did I reach my range? And then you're going to go through here. You're going to talk it out. So how did your heart rate predictions match with your actual heart rate following the activity? So was it higher, lower? Was it in range? If it was it a good fit for you? Was it not? So again, I want you to dive a little bit deeper than just it was within range, it was not. I need to see a little bit more than that. So show me if it was in range, why was this good for you? If it wasn't in range, why was this not a good fit? Was the activity harder than you thought it was? Was it lighter than you thought it was going to be? Do you think this equation is not good for you for a variety of reasons? Do you have certain health conditions, or you don't have to go into that, of course, but do you have certain limitations that may have prevented you from reaching your target heart rate range based off just your age? So go into that. So how did this prediction match with the actual heart rate with the activity? So go into that. And then finally, your last one is going to be, do you think that this heart rate prediction tool is accurate and useful? So again, personally, this is just a starting point for us because to figure out how someone what they should be doing, and then seeing what they are doing, and then we can go from there. But show me what your thoughts are. Tell me what you think. Like, is this a good tool? Is there something else that we should be using? What are the limitations? Why is it useful? So again, I need more than just a yes, it's accurate because I got within range. We need a little bit more than that. Dig deeper. Show me that you are using the materials that we are going over, and you are applying this into real life now. So dig a little bit deeper than just a one sentence response to all these answers, to all these questions here. So once you have filled out this entire document, you will of course save it and then submit it to your Moodle page. So remember, your assignment has to be Microsoft Office Word or an Adobe PDF. If it is not one of those formats, I cannot see it, cannot grade it. We are well past the point of us still having moments of forgetfulness and not submitting it with the correct format. So please make sure you are submitting a correct format so I can grade it. All right, if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. Don't hesitate to reach out.